sure fun to watch. We love what we do, we're drinking every brew. Man, we talk some shit, but we're telling the truth. Yeah, we're the Scotchy Bourbon Boys, raisins in hell and making some noise. Yeah, we're the Scotchy Bourbon Boys, we're here to have fun and we hope you enjoy. We're here to have fun.
So he took us on a tour, and I then, this past November, visited with him on a Saturday afternoon and went down there and saw all the things they're doing at their new distillery. They are in the process of construction of a event center. They are going to basically be a destination distillery. They're going to have restaurants, shops, the distillery, gift shop, the whole 9 yards. What you're about to see is Ryan took me along, showed me all the parts of the sites where stuff is going to be, where the distill's going to be, the production that is going to be. They are going to be doing some serious distilling. They have some great spirits. I've got here their line sherry cask bourbon finish, cast strength. I've got the wheat whiskey, Olorosa finished, 5-year. I got to taste the 7-year. Here's another one. This is the Pumpernickel Rye cast strength. Here's the Miquelon Pumpernickel Rye, regular rye, and then also their wheat. Miquelon wheat bourbon. Now, the Pumpernickel Rye is not Miquelon, but the wheat bourbon is, and all the stuff that they're doing there is fantastic. So come join us, see what happened on that those 2 Saturday and a Sunday afternoons when we went down to see what's happening at Middle West Spirits. We're really excited.
Hey, Scotchy Bourbon Boys fans, this is Alan Bishop, Indiana's alchemist of the Black Forest. So I'm tuning in here today to tell you all about the One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute channel on YouTube. If you're at all interested in the art of distilling, whether it be home distilling or professional distilling, and the intense geekery that goes into that process, then check out the One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute on YouTube. I promise you're going to learn something you didn't know before about the arts.
This is Alan Bishop, head alchemist at Spirits of French Lick. Be on the lookout for a brand new bottled and bond Solomon Scott rye whiskey. Made from a mash composed of 65% rye, 35% corn, and 5% victory malt. This 5-year-old 100 proof rye whiskey is a throwback to early 1800s style rye whiskeys of the Ohio Valley. Named after the legendary Daisy Spring Mill distillery owner turned moonshiner Solomon Scott of Paoli, Indiana. Remember, drink responsibly and never drink and drive.
I got to tour the site of the new construction at Middle West Spirits. Ryan took me along. Here is where they're going to have the new still.
Developing it, and then when things get ironed out, then
it's all. This is ground level right here.
Yeah.
So
foundations are going in over there right now for tanks and chillers and coolers and all kinds of stuff. You can see they started working on that. The facility itself is being. This is our waste stream we dump this week.
you can show the crane right over there.
Oh yeah, it's moving right now. Oh yeah, you can see the tank. Right, so you can see it from here.
Yeah.
So this is where we're going to be adding tanks for the whiskey that's coming off the still. It'll be placed in here, blended down, cut to the proof, depending on what we're running, 110 to 120, usually, depending on what we're barreling. And then this will transfer by tanker and or directly into the autofiller. So we have an autofiller for barrels. It indicates, so it'll find the hole as an eye, And it
Just
goes down
fills.
and fills them and fills them and fills them and fills them. And then you spend most of your time putting barrels on a skid and banding for stacking. So yeah, this is the tanks come in Wednesday.
Okay.
Where the grain is right now is where the bottle filling, or I'm sorry, the barrel filling system goes in this area and it gets blocked off.
Okay.
And then over in the area where the totes are right now, while we're getting ready to move them, you will have the finished blending area. So there'll be an area where we can actually produce the products before they go over to the packaging center, which you just saw. So
Yeah, compared to last time, you got a lot going. You're getting there. And it's only been a couple months, right? I mean, it's not like we're talking years.
no. Still house is going in.
Wow. That's it.
Still house. So we've got a set of 2 stills that'll be in this area eventually. You can see the first pad was poured for the first tower.
And you were saying Vendome, right?
Yeah, all Vendome. Yep. Love them.
There's not many people that went to 89 feet.
Yeah.
Wow.
89 feet at the peak, so that wall is doubling and then some. Yeah. Yeah, so that tower comes in. So they're actually going to be building the tower out the side. The steel structure will be then raised, and they're taking you can see they're building the steel structure now up.
Yep.
And then they're going to build a big rectangle that the outer shell will then bolt to. And then the stills fly in. They come in from the top and get dropped there. And then over there.
They fly in?
Oh, they're going to bring them in with massive cranes.
Okay.
So they got to bring them in from the top. Yeah, there's a lot of...
They got to get over the wall.
yeah, the irony is they have to get over the big wall.
The 89 foot.
They're gonna come in, that will be, the still will be in after. The still set will be in after the wall goes up. So, yeah, we've got to get... The still itself is that tall, so it has to go up over 200 feet. So, cooker's in a drop tub.
Look, I could put it this way,
Yeah.
and then they're right upside down.
Yeah, then you're like, oh, windows going in. So yeah, that tower's going to double right there. So you're going to be looking right up there. And everything above that wall is glass.
Okay, so you're gonna. So the still will be right here, kind of like a thing, and then all the way up is going to be the glass, so you can see the rest of the still all the
Yeah,
way
you'll
up.
see it all the way to the top. And then the punch-in windows in right here that are similar, so you can have natural light into the distillery. But yeah, she should be running here this year, hopefully in the spring.
So 2023 is what you're.
Back where we're loading off the truck, and then it goes out to the farms every day. So we've got an entire area here where that actually will go in, and those tanks come in this week. But we're going to recycle as much as possible on the site on that end, and then anything going down the drain is going to be minimal compared to what is actually coming into the facility. The side seat wells on top. Yep. You can see the outer seat well there.
Yep.
So
People underestimate.
Ryan showed me around their current warehouse where they're aging all their bourbon. It's quite amazing. The system they have installed there, plus the whiskey that's going to be coming out, is going to be pretty awesome. And the experiments that they're doing.
Barrel Rickhouse at Middle West Spirits.
with you, but if you walk around, I'll show you some of the stuff we're doing in here. So these actually turn quite a bit of air. You can see they're pushing down right now, and we can turn those in and out.
So they can suck up, or
they can actually go the other way too. So they go in reverse. So they're on a VFD and they can go the other way. So what we've been testing is the air movement here, and you can feel it. It's very subtle. But what it is just constant. It's all the time. We had them turned up, and boy, I'll tell you what, it was a mistake. Too much wind, a little bit of a problem. It would have caused us issues long term. So,
it's just unbelievable, all the different rick houses when people build them. And then, I've been at barns where it's in the middle, and all the stuff that's in the middle, right, the barrels that are aging, and they leave a space open so the air just goes right up. Well, those barrels right on the wind that are sucking in, that's where their single barrel program is coming right from there.
Yeah.
But they're always tasting them because it can go really fast. But that was in Wisconsin.
it does happen quick. And depending on where they are. So you can see we're spaced out. We got them over there. They're not on right now in that area because we don't have anything there. But we see we're three over. So 185,000 square feet, and we have a lot of fans in here. They go all the way down. And then take the other side. So we've sealed one side up, and we're actually working on heating it a little bit more. So we're oscillating and pushing heat, which helps out quite a bit. We got some barrels over dealing with. Got some of these still remaining. Not a whole lot of those anymore. Most people have flipped out of them. We've got to set them here if we need them. So this is all production from the distillery you're at. Lots of juice. And we've got a new warehouse that we're building on the site you were just at for finished goods.
Right.
So all of this will go away.
Oh, so this is only half of it.
Oh yeah, this side's full. Yeah, this is just a little bit. We'll have the warehouses running by this time next year. So I doubt at the time.
Wow.
Yeah. Couple barrels.
God, that smells good.
You can feel the air though. Yep.
Yes, and it's
There isn't a fan above you. It's right over there.
but it keeps it all moving.
Keeps it moving.
It brings some of the cool air from the bottom up.
That's
Right now, that's what you're doing.
Yep. Yeah, we're circulating like this.
So you still have a little bit more heat at the top, but not that extreme drastic.
No, we're trying to create uniformity. I mean, you definitely have a difference. You can see it when we pull those down after 5 years to the bottom. There's certainly a difference, obviously.
Right.
But it's, these bottom ones can really, they're long-term aging.
Right. Just like,
So we got some new barrels in here. It's 22s. We got 17s, 16s. Lots of 22s over here. They must have been moving some stuff around. They were doing some testing in here. You can tell. These were all down for a test.
wow.
So while they may say 22, 17, 55 on them, these are actually pretty old. These are pretty old stuff for customers. So
Wow.
yeah. But we work with a ton of other distilleries, which has been wonderful, and we pull barrels in from time to time for customers. None of our stuff is. All of our stuffs we produce. So every brand that is ours that is underneath the Midwest label is all made here in Columbus. But we have a lot of customers that do acquire barrels, and we do blending for them. Yeah,
Well, so that in itself is I get it. You do the blending. They buy the barrels, you bring them here, and then you blend them yourself. You blend them for them.
For them. Yep.
With them. Have a whole, now is that more, when you have a customer like that, is it more presentation? Do you do a big presentation, or is it more industrial?
Pretty industrial to get
Okay.
what they need out of it. Make sure we're setting standards. So here's the rye, the pumpernickel rye. You were asking about the barrels and how they start turning. You see how the band's starting to turn?
Yep.
It's the moisture. So this was only done in 2020. So he's got
2 years.
many more years to go.
Yeah.
So,
But wasn't 2020 just yesterday?
I swear it was.
Oh, God.
Right? Yeah, they start to. They're cutting them. So this is our double cask. You can see there.
And the reason why you store them this way is this is how they've been used in the past,
Correct,
right?
yeah.
That's where the bunghole is. You
That's
buy
correct.
them, and it's not like you can put another. Okay.
Yeah, that's correct. So we lay them on their side. So we're not vertically storing them. And then these are a couple years. Yes, sir. Most of this is Spanish. So this is all Spanish field of oak right now. All with, this has sherry bourbon, Oloroso wheat whiskey, and the ported pumpernickel rye is in here.
Okay.
And then we've got a whole nother field of these over there. And then we have one other warehouses, one of the other warehouses. So we manage these separately. And then we're building up this platform quite a bit. So we have a warehouse specifically for this going in right now.
Well, I can imagine specifically because there's a lot more at stake because there's a bigger investment in time and barrels.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no doubt. It's interesting. You have to, it's just a different type. It took forever to figure out what we wanted to apply to the whiskeys. And then we had to work within the specific sourcing areas that we could get those barrels. And that's what we got. So the product that we like the most matched the barrel type for us for the whiskey. We actually went directly to the producer of that product, and we were able to work directly with them. And then we get lots of them from overseas quite frequently. See if I can find that.
Oh, you're going to let me do one of these?
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to figure out the right one. So this has been another 3 years outside of our normal casking. So this is almost 7.
7?
Mm-hmm. So let's see what that's like.
You can tell by the smell. Oh my God. Is that an Oloroso?
That's the Oloroso wheat whiskey. It's a double cask wheat.
So if you want to
Go ahead, grab
film me?
Yeah. Yeah, let's do that. It was way more fun to me.
Flip it around the other way.
Flip it around.
Yep, now you can see me.
There you go. See what I know. I don't know shit.
All right,
Here we
I'll
go.
touch this part, not that part. I'm holding it.
Oh, that's fine. Oh, yeah. Oh, look at the color. Ooh.
There we go. That's it. Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need as much. Let's try. All right.
There you go. Just let her sit in there. There you go.
This is wheat.
This is the double cask wheat whiskey. Mm-hmm. Oloroso wheat whiskey.
That. I mean, it's funny the difference between straight out of the barrel. I don't know whether it's just because the experience is amazing, but even after you bottle it, it's not quite as good as that. I mean, I don't know what it is, but that's amazing.
It's just fun being in a warehouse drinking whiskey.
Holy shit. Thanks.
Yeah, color's good. It's rich. So I use these quite often because then I can just turn them to the side and I can see what the bottle's going to be. Oh, wow.
That's
Good
insane. Yeah. It's like people don't understand what thieving from the barrel is.
Yeah, they do not.
This isn't thieving. Yeah, it is. This is tax-free. It's the one thing the government lets you do is taste your barrels.
Surprising. They do. They do let you do that. I'm trying to figure out which one we want to pull down here and try. I have no idea what some of this shit is. Oh, I know what that is. Yeah, why in the world? How about that? Look at that.
Wow.
Isn't that cool? Hey, no, wait,
Is that like, do not take anything?
yeah, don't open
That's
that.
like a chastity belt, right? Right on the barrel.
That's what it is. Trying to find the pumpernickel and see if we can pull a line of that down. I know they had another one pulled out for us to go over and package, but I'm not sure where they put it. Those are all 21s. They're all getting ready to leave.
Those are ready to go to
They're
be bottled.
going where they're going to another customer.
Oh, it's there.
They,
Okay.
They bought them. So, yeah, I'm trying to figure out where we pull our lots down. These are the blended lots that they're going to do something with. So, trying to figure out. I know what those are. Oh yeah, wow. Haven't seen that in a long time. Wow.
What is it?
It's our malt whiskey.
Ooh.
I have not tried that in forever.
Do you need help?
No, I'm just making sure it's the right one.
Oh, there's another one,
Yeah,
right?
there's one right here we'll knock out. Let me grab that thief. I have no idea what this is going to be like. Well, we'll give it a shot. If it sucks, we'll put it back.
Ah.
Oh, there's some over there. So you can see these get pretty gnarly.
Now, what we're doing here, I can put up pretty much quick, right?
For barreling, yeah, just
Yeah. Not what?
yeah, for what we're doing right now. So, this is what happens when you double cast malt.
Still light.
All part of it.
I'm gonna see where we are.
Oh, you're so sanitary.
Yeah, so it's getting rich on color.
That's a 5-year?
Oh, it's definitely a wheated bourbon.
It's that good, huh? Welcome, everybody, to the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. Hi, I'm Tiny, and tonight we are talking about Middle West Spirits and the exciting news that's about to go down there. Ryan Lang of Middle West Spirits, he has been letting us know all the cool things that are going on, and finally we have the ability to let them out on this particular podcast. I've got a lot of video coming up because I spent Sunday morning with Ryan going through the new Middle West Spirits has been distilling in the state of Ohio for a long time. Their spirits and their finished bourbons and finished wheat whiskeys are fantastic. And one of the things that's happening, though, is when I went down there once with Roxy and when Xavier was with us, we spent afternoon with Ryan last night.
Ryan, we have Xavier.
Greetings, everyone.
We have Roxy running.
Behind the camera.
Yeah,
she's going to be the She's going to
I'm,
be
I'm,
the pour
I'm
master
tech
today.
support, right?
Yeah, but at the same time, you can come over here and sit down
I will
at
when
any
I'm,
time.
yeah,
You know,
when I'm
that's
available.
We got space and glasses.
that microphone that Xavier's in front of is picking up more than enough.
Yeah.
But everybody bear with us. We are in the Middle West working distillery. We're
Columbus,
in
Ohio.
a tasting room. But back there, as you can see, are the fermenters and the cookers, and it's still right there, and you can hear it going. And I definitely am excited. Once I get this up, I will correct all the background noise, but you on Facebook Live will get to hear it all.
What runs do you have going right now? What are you doing?
We have a wheated bourbon in right now. And it is going through, I think it's in fermentation, it's in the cook, and it's also off the still. So you'll get to see that today if you do any B-roll or anything like that. That's what's going through the still right now.
For that run, from the time you pour the grain in to the time you're ready to distill and you're getting the product out, how long of a period is that?
4 days.
4 days?
4 days, we're going to grain over, it's processed, I've got about a 72-hour plus fermentation time. It's still, it's in liquid form, it's over in the processing.
Now, do you use a sour mash or is it a sweet mash?
We do sour mash.
Sour mash,
Yeah, we do accent. So depending on the recipe, we vary the percentage. But yeah, we're really big on sour mash.
Okay. When you're making a wheated bourbon as opposed to more of a rye-based bourbon, are you varying your choice of barley malt? You don't have to give me a secret to it, but are you varying that choice at all?
There are two different types of barleys we use. Yeah, absolutely. The malt. Yeah, we primarily work on a 6-row and a 2-row, so we interchange them depending on the enzymatic activity we want for operations. So how fast do we want to get the sugars broken down? What's our fermentation time and process? So it'll vary by recipe.
Do you have a preference as to whether you're using summer wheat or winter wheat?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're really big on the agronomy side. That's where we focus early on in the company. That's where we spend most of our time. We worked on, what varietal are we putting in the ground? What are we talking to the farmers about? What stores well? Some don't store that well. Specifically in corn, there are different types of corn that we can spoil and are harder to maintain. So when it came to the wheat, we have a very specific product that we want, corn as well as rye and barley. We're very honed in on that. It took a long time to pick it. We went through varieties of corn. We went through a lot before we found the right one. The wheat, fortunately, Ohio State has a very nice ag department up in Worcester, and we went to them and we said, we're looking for these tones, not these tones. Vanilla versus what you know Hefeweizen of the banana flavor.
Yeah.
We were going after a very specific product, and fortunately there's a guy there, his name is Dr. Ed Souza. He's like, don't do that, do this. And we listened, obviously. And that's Bob's your uncle. That's where we started. And that actually runs through all our products. Now wheat is the base of our vodka, it's the base of our gin, and it's in most of our whiskeys. Even the rye whiskey has a little bit of it.
Well, I know what Kentucky distilleries are trying to do. But as far as Ohio, I think you guys are a task that is, which you probably understand because you're using an Ohio cooperage, correct?
That's correct, Speyside. Yeah.
Speyside, and then you're using Ohio grains, and so there's going to be a flavor profile that definitely comes out of because it's Ohio.
Yes, that's
and
correct.
And I take it you're aware of that, but for me, I've been tasting that toasted wheat flavor, which I love. I mean, there's sometimes where I think I'm eating Wheaties. You know what I mean? There's that it comes out. And talk about, as far as you guys and your size and what you've been doing and the importance of Ohio.
Yeah, early on, we knew we wanted to source as much locally as we can. It's a very big economic driver for you to buy something from your region. Every dollar you spend and the region creates $3 of economic development. So that was kind of one of our staples when we first started. So we tried to see what was here first, and then when we couldn't find something here, we figured out how can we grow it here. So, and that then extended into all our other products. Our glass came local. We get our glass from Monaca, PA. It was originally 300 Hawking, so that's an Ohio company. Our labels are made here in Ohio. Our grains are grown here in Ohio. It's a very big thing. A couple things: transportation, logistics, and management of that material gets easier. You're not buying something from China and putting it on the water and trying to get it here. It's just down the road, and we often do know the people that run the stuff. We go to their facilities.
You're not waiting for it to be offloaded in Los Angeles.
Or the port of whatever.
Yeah.
It's sitting out there with all the other boats. We go direct, and we can work on that. And then ultimately, when it came down to the material that went into our products, Ohio does really good agriculture. We're very good at agriculture. So we had a breadbasket of opportunity and options, heirloom corn, different types of wheat, different types of rye, barley malt, for crying out loud, is here. So we just had a breadbasket. So we went in and we started playing. We started finding things to balance, because we're really big on balance in the whiskey and softness in the whiskey. That's kind of what it is.
Would you see where Ohio, using all Ohio grains in your product would be advantageous?
It works for us. It's certainly something that we've had a luxury to work with. We're fortunate that it's just on the road. We can just go to the farm, and then if they don't have it, we ask them to grow it, and they don't like it. They're like, okay, we'll grow it.
Yeah.
So that's very nice.
Yeah.
So let's get started. That's a good starting point for the actual
Did you
podcast.
drink all of the bourbon I poured you?
Why would I
Well,
not?
I have to give you some more.
Yeah. Oh, it's so
I mean,
she's.
you're gonna
So-
chat about it. You have to have something in your glass.
I got a ton of Bloody Mary.
I didn't really give you very much.
All right. So everybody, we're gonna start. So it's gonna 30 seconds of quiet.
Oh, show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. Oh, don't ask why. Show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. Oh, don't ask why. For if we don't find the next whiskey bar, I tell you we must die. I tell you we must die. I tell you, I tell you, I tell you we must die.
Woo! Here we are.
All right, folks,
We are at the Middle West Whiskey Bar.
in downtown Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, we were just welcome everybody to another Scotchy Bourbon Boys podcast. Remember www.scotchybourbonboys.com. We are here with Ryan Lang, co-owner and lead distiller of Middle West Spirits. We are here with Xavier,
Greetings, everyone.
Roxy, and myself, Tiny.
Tiny.
But we are so excited to have you on. This is just freaking awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, this is great. I'm good. Sorry it's so loud, but
That's
No,
okay.
this is we are in a working distillery, folks. Tell us about, we covered a little bit of this before the podcast for the YouTube crowd. Tell us what we're running through again.
we're doing a wheated bourbon today. We have the Michelin Reserve, which is this guy. We're running that through the cookers, through the fermenters, and through the still today.
And let me say, we normally drink our whiskey straight and neat, but today we have the most righteous Bloody Mary you're ever going to drink.
Yeah, it's 10.
Made
It's
with
10:30.
this product here. I'm here to tell you, folks, it's what's for breakfast.
Yeah, we're feeling pretty good for a Saturday morning. Cheers,
Yeah.
everybody.
So you know it's Saturday afternoon somewhere, right?
That's in Japan.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, let's talk about that just to start off. As a lead distiller, there's picking barrels, there's tasting the white dog, there's just all the things, and I always find it like, is is it daily? Do you like make an effort to some days not drink, or do you do certain time periods where you kind of back off and reset? How does that affect your palate? You know, kind of go along with how you deal with the whole aspect of running a distillery, partial ownership, but then also making a product that you have to be consistently, you know, on, but then also just, you know, I'll say, not becoming an actual alcoholic where it controls you.
Well, you know,
You gotta be careful.
just you know, drinking used to be a problem for us, but now that we're alcoholics, it's no problem. Yeah, exactly. So now we also want to hear about that time between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. when you're not unconscious.
It's when it first started many years ago, we were neophytes in the category, and we were trying not to mess up. So we would sample way too often, and it would come off the still. We tried every 30 minutes to make sure we're doing the right thing. And there was a big thing about cutting back then. This was back in 2008, 2009, 2010, and our technology has changed, things have changed, the air processes have changed. So now we sample far less. It's more about the batches, making sure that the parameters on the stills are right, making sure the team knows what those are. And then there's variability, inevitably. From the fermentation, what comes out of the fermentation, what goes into the still. You cannot replicate ferment to fermenter on a GC everything. It's impossible. And if anybody says they can do that and hit every note, give them a number, give them a call. So what we end up doing is we end up having 10 distillers trying to target the profiles we need. We sample daily. Obviously, we do everything by sensory. We do it with machines, but we do a lot by sensory and how we run the still, making adjustments on flow rates, feed rates on steam, things like that. We do it all day long. And then you take these big batches together. Not one fermentation, but 10, 15, 20 fermentations. You put them together, and that becomes the blend. And then it gets cut, it goes into the barrel. And out of the barrel, the same thing happens on the back end. When you're going in after 5 to 10 years, you're selecting these 5 barrel profiles, and we need these 4 levels, and we need these, and you're putting those together to make your product. So you're constantly crossing over those blends everywhere, because it is impossible to create something the same today as you do tomorrow. You got to target those profiles. And even out of the barrel, you can have the same tree, same lot, same staves, same kilns, same manufacturing, and you have 2 barrels sitting on the same skid, the same blend out of here, aged in the same warehouse, in the same position, the same amount of time, and when you taste them, completely different.
Of course.
And that's your job, is to blend those over. So that's the fun.
Now, you're controlling the process, and I don't mean this to be an ambush interview question, because I just thought of it. Okay. So I don't want to sound like I'm really learned at this. Hold that. I know enough to be dangerous. I have distilled my first ounce of alcohol.
I just want to add, so in other words, your expertise has cut down with the amount you need to do to get to where you want to get. You basically you're recognizing flavors and everything, and as you get better and better doing this for so long, that's what really helped you cut down the amount that you need to taste to get where you do, plus your team.
Correct, and then training the team to do that, and they do a wonderful job, because, I mean, we're running 2 a.m. in the morning. You know, the guys at 2 a.m. have to do the same thing as the guys that are there at noon the next day.
And in this climate, that's a bitch.
Things change.
I mean, it's insane how it got. I agree.
It's a very different world today than it was.
All right, we're going to the ambush.
I don't mean this to be an ambush. It's just something I thought. And when I have a thought, at my age, I have to get it out, or I'll forget about what it was. So the deal is there anything, and nothing beats expertise and nothing beats experience. I'll stipulate to that. But the thought that comes to mind when you're talking about getting a uniform batch, and I don't know why I've ever not asked this question before, but can you take the finished product and you're saying you're trying to compare it to is there anything when you say, wow, we nailed it here? Do you do anything experimentally with that product? Do you look at the pH balance? Do you look at the specific gravity? Do you look at any other type of physical or chemical measurement that you can get that you know you need to strive for? And then reconcile what made that batch with this load came from this farm and all that stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, it starts with the grain. So we've definitely known when the farms we're working with accidentally slipped us something else.
Oh, yes, so that's
Okay. The corn that came in was not the variety that it's proprietary to us. They didn't know any better.
So that's not only product control, but that's supply control.
And we can taste it right off the
Which
stem.
really you have to vertically integrate that if you're going to have uniform product.
Correct, and we smell it.
What-
So you can
what-
smell it on the
Yeah,
flavors.
oh yeah.
What kind of phone call is that?
It's not a good one. And then we're pretty good at blending out those batches, but we're bringing in tractor trailers at a time of grain.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a lot to go through. So we've certainly had batches where corn wasn't right. We've had batches where rye that came in was wrong. They ran out of stock. We didn't know, and they went and called somebody else and got it from another farm. And we could tell immediately off the still. And we've, 150 barrels here, 150 barrels there wrong. We have identified another system, and we know long term we're going to have to back blend and pay attention to them. And they do age differently. They do have different profiles.
Well, and honestly, you could get a positive out of that. Also, not always a negative, right?
That has happened.
Right.
Believe it or not, we have in corn in particular, we've gone through the gamut on what we've tried to. Our goal is to get a real oily distillate from our corn, really beef it up, get the flavors really robust. So when it comes off the still, it's unbelievably flavorful. And
So that would have a real heavy body then.
yes, and oils.
Well-
So that when we go back through on the back end and we clarify whatever we're doing for filtration or not filtration, that we've put as much impact into the distillate we can to accompany the barrel and aging process. We had corn that actually happened. We had a varietal that came in on our corn many years ago, and it came off the still and it was flat. I was like, wow, it's missing the robustness that we're used to. And we went back and looked, and sure enough, we called the farmer. It was this varietal that was in the field that year. This is what you got. We said, well, what was the varietal before that? Well, it was this one. Well, plant that. Go plant that.
Yeah.
We
Don't ever do that again.
But,
Yes.
but I mean, I really think that's the really cool thing about distilling.
Yeah.
One, you have to be so reactive, to what's happening. I mean, we were at a distillery when the stillage was backing up. Like they weren't getting the trucks in, everything was back. It was shutting down the whole thing, But that's the whole reactive thing. There's so many different processes. Everything has to be running smoothly. But where I love that part of the industry is that puts everybody, including yourself, in the regular industrial kind of making something and
That's
producing, which turns everybody into blue collar, hard-working
Yeah.
individuals to produce something. Now, I'm in recycling. We don't go down in history, but distillers do. So that's really kind of an added thing.
The thing that we've mentioned before in other podcasts, and this ties into what Jeff was saying about the pressure you're under all the time, is you have the situation where you're not Henry Ford, where you actually own the taconite mines and the steel mills that make the steel that go into the engine and the chassis and the body of your cars. But you're almost like that because of your product. It's so much is so much intrinsic to your final product. You're taking what is economically horizontally integrated, but you have to vertically integrate it to get this.
We're big on vertical integration. We control our grain.
Right.
It's in our contract with the farmers, the battles we're growing. We are so fortunate at Speyside in Ohio. Darren and the team down there in Jackson, they've been so good to us. When we first started, they come from pedigree around Foreman, right? That's where they
Tell our audience a little bit what Speyside is down there in Jackson.
And then introduce us eventually,
Oh, we're
because
going
we want to go down there.
We'll go down there next. Yeah. So Speyside Cooperage has been around for a very, very long time. They are primarily, or were, and today, in the recouping business. They take barrels out of the United States, they ship them overseas, they recoup them for Scotch. And several years ago, maybe 7, 8 years ago, I can't remember the exact time frame, they decided to build a new cooperage in Ohio, so building fresh barrels in Jackson, Ohio, which is down in the southeast. There's so much
Jackson
down there, perfect place to go. So they moved in, and the team there isn't just, neophytes. They've been in this category for a very, very long time. And they brought all that technical capability here, and they went from several hundred barrels and they thousands. I mean, they make a lot of barrels. And what ended up happening early on when we started, I told Darren and I said, hey, I'd love to work with you. We want to do some testing. We want to match what you know with what we know on the distilling side of the grains. And he's like, I'm shipping these. I'm going to do this, and this. He brought it in, and we literally filled them with all the stuff that we've tried, and we sat and we waited. And then we tried it in 6 months. And then we tried it in a year. And then 18 months. And in 2 years, and we're like, oh my God. He started to see the benefit of what he knew from kilning to toasting, charring, gas they use, the process they use.
Is that Ohio lumber too?
It is.
Awesome.
And they brought it in, and we're like, okay, we like that one, we hate that one, we like that one, we hate that one. And then we went over to our supply chain manager, Tammy, we were like, by all means, we want, this is not going to anything but that profile. We did the same thing for the rye, we did the same thing for the wheat. And that was the basis of recreating it. Believe it or not, those profiles are just now coming out. That's how freaking long it is.
Yeah.
But it took 2 years to test. And we don't test with machine, it's wait. Plant it, sit it, wait, and you try it and try it and test it. And we were very fortunate to move here because it helped us a lot with that.
Fantastic.
Well, I mean, so that's just that is the art. I mean, as you know, the production is very industrial. I mean, and we use similar things to produce recycling that you guys use here. Grinders for plastic, it's the same thing as the grinders for grinding up the grain. Different. How fine you divide the grain gets defined. You know what I mean? All goes into it. But the art part of it, there's no art in recycling. It's just basically present and they make more. Where that part is the part where you have so much control. Now, you started in 2008, and then 2010 started distilling. So we're talking 12 years later. And the stuff that you did in 2010 has already been sold, correct? No, but you're trying to get some old, more mature whiskey to the market also, because we're at 12 years.
Correct.
But at the same time, 12 years ago is when you started. Now talk about 12 years later, and just because you've come from a background, your background was not distilling, but now 12 years of experience, what you're laying down, the team you have, and then all the different things you've learned. I mean, I just think what you're producing right now is at a level that is spectacular. I mean, you've got the Ohio aspect. It's delicious. There's no negative aspect to it at all. You're getting bigger. We're going to talk about that expanding. And overall, what's your knowledge? I mean, what's the difference between you in 2010 and you in 2012? And I know it's a big difference, but how does that transform into the whiskey that in 12 years or 10 years we're going to be tasting?
Yeah, it's a lot more gray hair. That's the big difference.
Well, you do realize you realize they make just for men in your color, because that's what this is right here. Yeah, because this is all.
Yeah,
exactly.
Last couple of years it went fast, but you're right. I think you said it earlier. I think it's the best thing to say. I think there's no substitute for time. It really isn't, especially in our category. You learn that early on. I think there are a lot of people that get into rapid aging technology, which is fine. That's their model. It's not mine.
No.
Our model is sit on it and wait. I think I learned a long time ago to not prep push, go slower, go further. Really focus on that. Go slower, go further, pay attention. And I would say the biggest thing that we have learned is we are highly sensitive to adjustments. And we have adjusted more times than I can count process for improvement. And we're not afraid to make adjustments. And if we like something, we don't hesitate to invest and move. And we've done that more times than I can count, like I said. And we've learned a lot, and we've also been helped a lot. Over the years, we've been able to work with like-minded individuals that have been in a category far longer than ours, and they come in and we debate constantly. It's always open debates on why do you do this, why do you not do that? Why would you do a 4-grain wheated when it's very difficult to mix rye with wheat? Well, okay, well let's work on that. And it's been a morphing over time of minor tweaks to improve everything from the wheat to the pumpernickel down to the Mountain Reserve bourbon. We've done it all, and we continue to. We're making changes again. Even batch 78, this one is different than batch 77. We made a process change already on when we process out of the barrel. But these are things that we're learning through working with guys that were tied to Seagrams back in the day, guys that were tied to some of the big distillers in Kentucky and Indiana, and they've been really good to us. We've been very fortunate that when we've asked the question, hey, how do we get better, or how do we just do this right in your eyes, they've been looking books, and not everything we've taken and run with, we found our own way, and then we get it in here, and we have a very qualified team. Our plant manager, Rob, comes from Anheuser-Busch. He's second generation master brewer for Anheuser-Busch. So when he comes in, and we want to make sure the fermenters are running right, and clean right, and operating right. I don't have to worry about that. And then the teams have got it. And I'm like, here's the recipe, how do you make it better? And they do it. And the team just keeps progressing. And we're starting, I wouldn't say we're starting, we've been seeing the development of the improvements over the years. And we're very excited for what's coming. And you're right, our aging profile on this bottle, it's going to have a number there. So, and it's going to keep going. And we have a whole ladder of what we're going to have. We don't want to sit on 6-year-old product. We want 15-year-olds. We want 17-year-olds. That's where we're going. Unabashedly, that's what we're doing. It just takes a hell of a lot of time.
And deep pockets.
But you brought up a point where I've not thought of. I mean, I've met through the podcast. I meet the lead distillers, master distillers, and everything, and I've never looked at them like a barrel of bourbon, but that's what you basically are.
So you need to
the longer you do this, the better you get at it, and you pull different things from all the different places. And so, yes, you're right. It's like time by you knowing what you didn't have a father who's been doing this and who had a father and who had a father. But at the same time, the industry is almost your father, like you just said.
Sure.
Because we were going over the website on the way down, but the industry can't make enough at this point, and I don't think they'll ever be able to make enough. Because then you're not competing against each other. You're all trying to produce to meet the demand, which as you make more and more, the demand just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think eventually there'll be not a decline. I think it'll plane from the rapid growth it has to. But we're just tipping the iceberg globally on bourbon. The vast majority of bourbon is consumed, it's produced obviously in the United States, but it's also consumed in the United States. Guess what's going to happen?
Yeah.
I mean, bourbon does proliferate. It's wonderful. And
This is something we
Jack Daniels and Jim Beam really were hurt by their overseas, by this whole thing, because overseas that just was cut off. They weren't able to get it there. But as far as the craft distillers and everything, everybody was meeting the demand, and everything went up in the United States. But like you said, it's like you just keep producing, and especially in the state of Ohio, I always wasn't sure. You know, Kentucky, when you get into this, Kentucky's got that thing, but you know, as far as tasting, and then I met you, I've been tasting everything, and it's just, what you're doing is spectacular, and it shows in your product.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I will tell you, it's more hard work than we talk about, and it's not like it's not hard work for the big guys too. Their machines are big. Their hamster wheel's a lot larger than ours. Their pocketbooks are a lot larger. So the craft guys have to scrap real hard, and you have to find the financing. This is a volume business for revenue.
Well, your mistakes are more glaring because basically you have less product to mitigate the effect of that mistake over than somebody who's producing 5 to 10 times the volume that you are.
Correct, and public opinion is brutal.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And you gotta get
So you talk about an influx of capital, and I know nothing, but the thing that comes to mind is you make a pretty good sales pitch of what you're doing, and you said unabashedly, 10, 15-year bourbon, maybe more. So basically, you start selling the right to buy that product, that's for sure.
But that's what's,
Well, but like you said, the spirits industry, if the United States of America wasn't taking 60% of it, this would be a lot easier. But they are. But you still, it's still a business model, as you know, that you make money.
It's a business model for this reason. The demand keeps growing, and we've cited this about every other, if not every third podcast. But we all were blown away. We were down at Maker's Mark last September, and I asked the lady that was conducting the tour, I can't remember, she did a fantastic job, and she was talking about the new expressions they had out, and I said, I have a question from my business background. Do you have to worry about, you come out with this expression, is it going to cannibalize your sales? And she says, no, because the average bourbon drinker, if he has to choose between this or this, he just buys both. Yeah, it's not a problem. It's a non-existent problem.
But that's what's so unique about craft distilleries is that you get unique things. So, so although you said this one's going to be changed, and you might find an amazing barrel that turns into a single barrel. I mean, I really enjoy the different expressions, and even if they come out of the same distillery, I don't think the average bourbon drinker or whiskey drinker thinks about, it's the type of grain, it's the where it's grown, it's the where the wood comes from, it's the all of those very all those little components that all come into making this one bottle or this one batch of this Oloroso, which we're drinking right now, which is absolutely spectacular. But
it's the factorial on that, yeah.
and that's what we've been drinking. That's what's
You went straight to the head.
We got two of those already.
And more. That's my favorite.
Okay, what am I drinking, Rachel?
We were drinking this
Roxy.
cast strength.
Wheat whiskey, double cask. And,
Oh my God, does that have a wonderful nose?
With that said, what she said, the question is, have you seen, so we got into this like 2018. I started podcasting fall of 2019, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I really got into what you kind of do where I start having to do this where I have to watch how much and whatever, because you podcast twice a week, you all of a sudden you're just tasting all the time.
Sure.
Not drinking very often, because if you drink, you're just really gonna go. But have you noticed that, because when I got into this, finished bourbons were like the devil. Like right when I got into this, it's like you mention a finished bourbon, and Facebook would hand you your ass.
You're not a purist.
It's not bourbon. That's not bourbon. They tell you that. Like hundreds of people would
You
tell
don't
you
know
this.
what you're talking about.
Now, just 3 years later, the finished bourbons are like the talk of the everything. Have you noticed that from the standpoint of how people accept it?
Yeah, absolutely. We started doing finishes almost day one. We started making our bases, and then in 2013, 14, we started really focusing on what else could we do. It's just like in craft. I mean, craft drives innovation, and we have. I believe I've seen real crazy stuff out there. But you push boundaries, and then you can also lean on heritage. So I think for us personally, in the early 2001, 2000 timeframe, I love Scotch. I do. I like Scotch.
That's what we're calling Scotchy Bourbon.
I love it all. I love an aged spirit. I even love tequila and reposado. I love aged. It's probably a problem. But I just love what people do and the expressions they create. So, traveling overseas over time, you get to see what the expressions are. I mean, I've had 15-year-old product that's come out of barrels from Scotland, single malt base, that's yellow. They're not brown, they're yellow. I'm like, well, what is this? And one of the expressions, and it was sherry cask stuff.
Yeah, used barrels.
Yeah, used barrels. I was like, so I was always intrigued by it. And then when we brought it over and started doing our original, which the very first one was the Oloroso wheat whiskey, we started double casting that with a sherry, like a Oloroso sherry finished bourbon. Or cask, and I think there was a place for it. We never really got the pushback. We never really saw it, but we were also unbelievably small. You know, compared to the large guys, we still are. Today.
So it was moving from the start?
From the start. It went right away, and I think most of our peer set saw that too. You started seeing it move, and then in Scotland and Ireland, they've been doing this stuff forever. Belvini. Yeah. So they've been doing this for a long time now. That's like one of my favorite scotches, is the double oak there, which that was the inspiration for this.
Okay.
And then we just kept going, and then everybody started doing it, and then the big one was Angel's Envy. You know, they really started pushing the Hurricane Cast stuff, and it was like, wow.
Well,
And I think it became more accepted. I think it opened the doors for the big guys to then say, wow, I can really start working on expressions.
Well, I mean, Beam just opened up their own craft distillery for Freddie to be able to not shut the big stills down. It's just like, that just tells you. Yeah, I mean, you just like, you can't do the same thing but they built a whole nother distillery to be able to expand into the market that you guys created.
But if you like whiskey, if you love whiskey before, you're really going to love it in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Because everybody's been playing around so much. You're just seeing the tip of the iceberg.
This is
I agree with 100% with what you, but now here's a
Really
question.
important now. Just, that's
Do you-
that's in my bloody mirror.
I'm not talking about why climate change happens, but it seems to me Kentucky, Indiana, and Ohio have been having an adjustment to how the bourbon ages out. You know, if you're doing a non-controlled and it's out there, the weather has really been, I mean, you taste bottom shelf stuff from Buffalo Trace, you know, Ancient Age and Benchmark. I mean, you're talking about cheap bourbon, whatever, and it is, from what I remember, it just keeps getting better and better. Like, and it's got to be a part of the aging process that it's just aging better in those barrels.
It's also the standards are changing, I believe. I think with the expressions that are coming out, I think quality levels before where it was based on price point. It's based on the investment based on price point.
True.
So the investment in something that is $0 to $16 per se on the shelf, it had to sit for 4 years or 2 years, depending on what they're putting out. And it is adjusted, and there's a little bit more luxury to let things age up a little more. The stuff that, for instance, in Buffalo Trace, I mean, they Abby and it's a lot of other stuff. You've been adding a lot of these recipes that have been improved over time. You get better yeasts, all these things. So all these improvements are hitting all the category, and I think you're allowed to pull that up. I think where you ran into problems was volume. You know, 5 years ago, it was like, oh my gosh, you're just wind sucking the volume out of the distilleries, which has also sparked the growth and the building of all the bigger distilleries in Deborah. But yeah, I think all boats have been rising, and I think the quality on even the lower end has been coming up as well, and the investments have been there.
I think, and I'd be interested in your opinion on this, and what Tiny says there is a very valid point, and what you talking about. But I think some component of the increase in overall quality has been driven by the amount of educated consumers that you have now as compared to 30 years ago in terms of bourbon, because you have groups like the Scotchy Bourbon Boys and 1,000 other ones that, you know, I think you have a larger class of more discerning bourbon drinkers now than you ever did.
Yeah, and flips between male and female. Right?
Sure, absolutely.
So predominantly in the 70s, 80s, it was, you know, male dominated, and I think we see that change happening.
Well, now you have Roxy, who was a Chardonnay drinker for the most part, and my wife, who drinks Chardonnay or Zinfandel, and then they're bourbon gals. You know?
And I think that's that, and I think it's an easy luxury brand. Because, I mean, it's not like vodka. You know, vodka gets on that still, it's in a bottle the next day, it's out to the customer, right? There's some art, definitely, it's not like there's not an art to making vodka, but there is more in this. There's more components, there's more things going on. And it's pretty sexy, and there's a luxury to it. And, I mean, with the advent of technology, which is this, it gets more people out there. You have all social media. It was before, and you didn't have social media. You could be telling a friend when you saw them, and you gave them a bottle. Now, in 3 seconds, this is going to a lot of people, and it piques curiosity about it, and you get to learn about what all of us do. It's fun, and by the way, it is a whole lot of fun to do this.
Well,
sitting here with you guys.
Products.
Oh, we're having a great time, that's for sure.
You know, people want that personal connection, right?
but
So,
I through the podcast, we're going to Kentucky in September for Kentucky Bourbon Festival, right? I just sold out. Last year, I was able to get 10 people to come on, but 6 of us were Scotchy Bourbon Boys, okay?
Yeah.
This year, at $230 a person to go on whatever, I booked 20.
Yeah.
2 buses, that's too much almost. That's the most I can take to distilleries for tours. You can't do bigger than that. I probably could have done more, but it's just crazy how that aspect of how everybody's into that. But I think what I need to do is find a bus tour that takes us around to Ohio distilleries.
Yeah, sure.
That would be kind of a fun thing.
Maybe we should start one.
Well, we're going to,
But
but
we did start the trail, so there's the Ohio Distillery Trail now, it is live, it is working well, and we're going to continue to work.
Where can our listeners find more information on that? Because I was ignorant to it.
If you go to the Ohio Distillery Guild, you can Google it.
Ohio Distillery Guild.
Yeah, Distillery Guild, that's where we created it, oh my gosh, 2011, 2012, we pushed for legislation that created parity between brewers and
We've been
bitters.
podcasting for 3 years, and this is the first it's ever been mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
how are you? Yeah. Well, we kind of talked to it. I mean, Beach and Martin Duffy were just touring this area just recently, based off of, and that's kind of. I mean, the fact that reach has come. You know, initially you got New Riff down on the border. It just makes sense, Cincinnati and into Columbus for them to come
It's
on.
right up 71. So, I mean, I go down to Kentucky more than I probably should, because I love it. I absolutely
Kentucky's just a great state.
Well, but isn't
So,
it
I-
basically Disneyland for whiskey? I mean, it's just what they've done with the tours, and it's what's even crazy is Jim Beam had an amazing experience already, and then they spent 2 years during this last, whatever went on. They basically redid the whole experience,
and the thing is,
just put a ton of money into that place, so it's awesome.
so, you guys made me uncover a brain cell that was gone, that I wanted to say something probably 15 minutes ago. When you were talking about, you've had help, that people have been so good to help you, questions. I have never seen any industry, and I've worked in multiple industries, where everybody is seen as a family, not a competitor. And people help each other from one company to another company. I have never seen that degree of openness, friendliness, and willingness to help in any industry anywhere.
Well, so when we come down unannounced, and at the thing, you were kind of having a meeting. Your wife and kids were here, and all of a sudden we're in the middle of getting shown around. It went up the level. Okay, first your distiller that day heard that we were here, and he's like, "I'll give you a tour because there's whatever." So we start getting a tour. Then you jump in. But while you spend time with us, your wife and children, so you just get that sense of family.
Yes.
And I knew instantly, just based off of the whole thing, how much I liked you right off the start. Cheers, brother.
Yeah, it actually worked that way well.
Yes, and then here we are down here, and so let's get to the tasting part of some of this.
Let's let the man talk about his product.
Yes, there we go. So you've got a couple of expressions here that we need to taste. We got water to rinse out our glasses. No, we haven't been tasting anything. He's going to start from the start because I want more of that.
You can have them all. Just see where it goes.
Oh yeah.
This will be an interesting podcast about an hour.
Yeah, I know.
Well, we go through. You talk about the expressions. You got the double cask. You got your
First off, I have to say this is their in-house Bloody Mary mix, and it was made with this, and it absolutely kicks ass and tastes nice.
Just for you guys on audio, it's their straight bourbon whiskey. It is
Michael Reserve.
Michael Reserve.
Where does the name? Tell us about the name Michael.
So it's where this whole thing started for me. It was the spark that set out to do this. That's what I wanted to do out of school, out of my previous employer. My family has some history in it. I decided that it was what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I knew I was going to go for corporate America. So I started drafting a business plan back then in 2007. And, you know, as the years went on, we started building products out. I put my grandfather's last name on the bottle. That is him. So Ron Michael Jr.
So that's
So
obviously that's Italian heritage.
it is, yeah, from Milan. So family immigrated in 1902.
My father came from Abruzzi in 1929.
That's where my grandmother's from. My great grandmother's from
Abruzzi,
Abruzzi.
And my grandfather from Portugal, Sicily.
I'll see.
Okay, so yeah, you're
My wife's from Sicily. That's
Yeah.
you're one of the
So my last name's Mueller, and it's German and a little bit of Russian and French, and that's it.
Yeah, you're just.
But you know what?
A German
I just
Shepherd.
pick Italians to hang out with because it just works.
Yeah,
So-
exactly.
I got some earlier photos of our family back in the day. My great grandfather, and I mean, they were always drinking, and it was never brown. It was always crystal clear. You knew what it was. So we didn't say a whole lot on that, but it was a spark. And then when we knew we wanted to do it for real, we have manufacturing backgrounds. So we took that tact. It was about volume and output and production and quality and all that stuff, and really driving that home, which has grown this. So we started with the wheat as the base. We're like, okay, Pennsylvania's rye. That's where I grew up in Central PA. It's
Where's that at?
us near Altoona and State College in between. It's a small farming community.
My dad grew up in Jeanette, which is about 15 miles east by southeast of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I know Jeanette. Yeah, that's where Charles Pryor is from.
Exactly. Yeah. My dad.
Yeah, I got that.
My dad played on their 1939 state championship football team.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we had a state championship football team, but we were pretty small. I think it was in the 50s. But so I grew up in basically a farming community. Our family had farms, and you know, watched that over time, which was tough over many years back in the 80s and stuff like that. So spark was there. Was told where the equipment was. Went dug it up. And literally made a model of it, and it really became the passion. And I always said, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it ourselves. We're going to grow it. We're going to distill it. We're going to figure it out. So the first expressions we created were based on a work stream with, believe it or not, the Ag Department at Ohio State University. They were very solid to us, and it became the wheat whiskey, and then the wheat-based vodka. And then there was expressions from the vodkas out of that. Then we started developing the bourbon, the Michael Reserve, and we worked through many different expressions, and it morphed a lot. Volume based on the wheat percentages, the rye percentages, the corn percentages, the types and varietals. But we always knew we wanted a flagship in that. We wanted 3 flagship whiskeys. We wanted that. We wanted the wheat, because there's very few wheat whiskeys, true wheat whiskeys out there, Bernheim, probably the most widely known. And then we also wanted rye. But everybody was 95.5 rye, or they were 49.51, right, or certain percentages that were very close to not being called rye whiskey. So we started playing around with all of the percentages and grain profile and stuff. And so what ended up coming out of that was this. We have our wheat whiskey, which is 95% wheat, 5% barley. Then we have the pumpernickel rye, which is pumpernickel rye grain, which is a very different rye that is used than most ryes are a schooner, different rye flavor characteristics. There is absolutely a terroir to that. There's a terroir to everything, but that one really sticks out. It's 80% pumpernickel rye, it's 10% corn, 5% barley, 5% soft regular wheat.
Wow. Now what you're getting, what I'm getting right now,
You're getting the double cast strength.
Yes. So
what's the name of this expression again? So everybody
pumpernickel rye.
Pumpernickel rye.
So we did that, and then we did our bourbon, obviously the Michael Reserve, and it became a 63, 19, 13, and the remaining pounds barley. So that's corn, wheat, rye, barley. That's why it's a wheated bourbon. That's why it's a
Wheated bourbon, but you got the rye in there. Okay.
That was the hardest thing we did, because rye, especially the ryes we were using earlier on, really did not like to work with the wheat. They flipped it off the still. So we switched the rye to the pumpernickel, and then we had add something. Started
And did you have to vary the barley malt at that point?
Yes, we did.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah, and then we started adjusting the recipe down. So that became our three bases. So we had the Michael and bourbon, we had the pumpernickel rye, wheat, and then we went into the double cask. We try, when we do our double casks, the way we normally do it is we'll go buy the sherry.
It smells like rye bread.
Yeah, right? Very, very, very pumpernickel is powerful.
It is powerful.
So,
And then there's the port.
yes, and so we had to mate those grains and what comes off the still for barrel types. We tried so many types of ports, so many types of sherry. And
Is that something?
Yeah.
I know,
Oh my
I'm
God.
sorry I brought you down.
Not to interrupt you, sir. Oh my God. That is the most unique I've ever tasted. That is so
We've got a
good.
lot going on.
So what you did,
And we just,
you actually made what I don't like about rye.
yeah.
And
Go completely away.
no, it's there, but then that port,
Yeah, softens it.
No.
it changes it to the point where, so if this didn't have the port, okay, I'm like, everybody knows it's,
doesn't
there's
like
some ryes I
dill
like,
and
but I don't like
celery
that
taste. Too
vegetable.
much
cereal.
So this is the first
Yeah.
one that has the vegetable taste,
Yeah.
but the port sweetens it, and it's no. It's so complex that it blew my brain.
Well, let me tell you what. One thing that neither of us like, and we use the term, sorry,
Oh, no, go ahead, yeah.
neither of us like, we get two Italians to probably start a competition, it is not a green rye. And when I say green, I don't mean young. I mean, it doesn't taste like a combination of pond water and melted celery.
Wait.
It doesn't have that taste.
Have
at
you
all.
had seagrass?
Yes.
Do you like it?
I like all this.
Okay,
yes,
so
it's-
seagrass is the epitome of what I don't like.
It's very, it's got the grain forward.
The grain forward, it's got the rye, it's got the vegetables, it's got a little dill. When I tasted it at Kentucky Bourbon Festival, because I wouldn't spend $90 on a rye if I haven't tasted it, I really almost wanted to spit it out at the rep, but I control myself and did not. But that's exactly, but there's aspects of that in here.
It's
But
rye,
the
sure.
port
Balances it.
just turns it into a complexity of flavors to the point where it just splits it all up, and I actually enjoy it.
These are very complex flavor profiles.
Yeah.
So if you like complex flavor profiles.
My wife,
Yeah.
who we refer to as Mrs. Xavier, she's working today, she's a nurse.
Yeah.
I gotta get a bottle of this to take home too.
Okay.
This is fantastic.
We can do that. Yeah.
This is really,
Yeah.
she is a rye girl.
Yeah, so it's got the heat, but not.
Oh man, that is
But the
insane.
warmth, the port adds some warmth to it that you don't.
This is,
Did you get a fist?
yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm just gonna.
Very good.
No, I think that's the first fist bump I get.
Great.
Everybody makes a round.
So this is both, and we've tasted some unique bourbons. This is both great and unique. Okay, this is fantastic.
Yeah, the double cask, when we were putting it together, what we normally do is we will take something that's several years younger than we know it's going, and we'll start working, and the flavors that are in there, just some of them enhance with age, some of them go away.
Yep.
And the port and the sherry that we're already getting is already done, right? So when we get the barrels, they're wet from dumping, we get them from overseas. So we would take that product and we would sit and try them again. And man, you tell them when they're wrong, and they're really wrong. And when they're right, they're right. And there are very few that have lined up to what we do off our still from the yeast and everything. So we found them. Now we're constantly mildly perfecting as we go along. So we're really excited about our methods to do that. And the team sits together, we debate it, we make adjustments and move on. But we think we're in the right spot with this. And
Oh, you are.
And now this, well, it says 6, 5, and 5. I want it to say 10, 12, 12.
What
How long is
what is
that
the
age?
mash on
It's
this?
5, 5, and 6.
5.
So the porter pumpernickel is the same pumpernickel rye we have. So it's 80% pumpernickel rye, 10% corn, 5% soft wheat, and then 5% barley. And that barley is two different barleys that we use. So it's got a lot going on.
So it's 120 point, I believe,
Eight
proof. Then,
So
just
60.4 out maybe.
Just so you know, after I tasted that, and then usually when you proof back down to the wheat bourbon, this made this compete with that, and then the explosion of the caramel and that toasted wheat.
This is a delicious.
I mean,
This is going to be Karen's kryptonite.
Yeah,
no, I mean seriously, and then this is not expensive.
No, it's right around $40.
Yeah, 30, yeah, and this. I mean, seriously, it's right up there with, like you said, that's a weeded bourbon. I mean,
with her,
I'm a little bit tipsy, but I'm going to sit there and say it's right up there with some of the 10 or the 12-year-old Pappy.
oh my God,
Well,
this blows away 10 year
It
old.
blows your.
This blows away 10-year. I don't think I've ever had 15-year Pappy. This blows the 10-year away. It leaves it in dust.
So he's Italian. You can tell that. So, but I'm saying.
I say
With that rye background, I went to this, and I was just like, I mean, usually when you go from 120 to 95, you're talking.
It's hard to compete because the flavors.
Right, but it did. It
Yeah.
straight up did, and I'm.
No, and I especially love.
And you know,
so this is a very.
It's the great.
It's a wonderful
Blend of
complex.
wheat and
I'm not gonna. I will never lie to you.
I have to say.
I mean, seriously, if that tasted like Heaven's Door rye, I would have said that I'm not a fan of rye, so I don't like it. But you, with the port finish, now I guess you have a rye bourbon, or no, not a rye bourbon, but a rye whiskey. I should try that, not finished in port, and see what I think.
In my humble opinion, and people know that I rate things high, but your listeners and viewers have to know, this checks all the boxes. It has a wonderful taste. It's a very caramel, sweet, vanilla taste. You get the nose, a little bit of the pumpernickel bread, but you also get the sweet caramel. Going back through your back palate, and this is where I judge a good rye from a bad rye, and maybe my criteria is just totally effed up from what somebody who really knows what they're doing is it's an incredibly uniform taste as it fills your mouth. And it has a pleasant, long-lasting, but I'm not going to burn your guts out finish. And it's unbelievable. For something being 60.4 ABV, you have zero ethanol in the nose. And I'm telling you, if you want a good blend of a wheated and a rye whiskey, I haven't seen better. I haven't tasted better. This stuff is fantastic.
The other thing it doesn't do is it doesn't have that stale aftertaste.
No, it doesn't. And if you're a cigar drinker and you want the wooded oak taste, that's probably not for you. But if you're looking for a good after dinner pairing of a bourbon, he's nailed it.
So absolutely, give me that little bitter aftertaste, right?
Yeah.
This rye does not have.
Yeah.
No, it absolutely does not.
All right. I'm cutting you all off. We're heading to the wheat whiskey, with the Oloroso finish. No, we're heading for that. Well, I'm cutting that off because that's rye.
The Oloroso wheat is our base wheat whiskey, which is 95.5, and then the barley's again same 2 different styles of barley, and then you go extra casks for a little bit of time, and this one, I believe this is the long-term potential to be the 20.
Don't you believe wheat whiskey
this one?
has the biggest pull? So rye is taking it and bourbon's taking it, but wheat whiskey,
It's phenomenal.
yes, wheat whiskey is there's not a huge market for that at the moment.
So think about what wheat whiskey is. In our case, it's much like a good Scotch. Scotch is one grain item, right? Most Scotch is not. There's blended Scotches, but the single malt Scotch is.
The single malt Scotch is the cock and the walk right now, but it's ridiculously peated too.
Well, it can be.
Well,
depending on how
but
they
not
kill it.
American though.
But
Not
if you look
American.
at that, it's one grain, one profile, and you got to get it right. The barrel provides a lot of flavor components to it. Corn or bourbon, it's got most often 3 things, 4 things, potentially 5 things, most often 3 things. So you got these competing flavors that come off the still that complement one another.
Versus strictly barley.
Correct. Wheat is just one thing primarily. It's just wheat
And malt.
And malt.
A little bit of malt for the enzyme. So if you were going to do, you use enzymes, but since you don't use enzymes, you're putting the.
We do
the
use
malt.
enzymes. We do use, but we also
A little
add
bit.
malt too.
Yeah, but the malt does what it has to do for that yeast.
Yeah, so when you got wheat, it's very singular in its flavoring profile. It's not like it has 14, 15 different markers that come out of the flavors. So you gotta hit it right. But it also lends itself best for what I think the possibilities are. If you get the right barrel with the wheat, which we don't do heavy chars like the bourbon chars, like the tobacco and things like that.
Yeah.
We don't go
Yeah,
anywhere
I'm
near
not
them.
fond of that.
Yeah,
Not fond of that at all.
Well, we've done it. We've done it with the wheat and we realized it was wrong. And
Right.
then we switched back to a much lighter barrel profile. It's going to lend itself to a much longer aging profile.
What's the number?
So we're between a 2 and a 3
Okay.
on it. And on it.
Are you toasting too?
We are.
I think the toasted wheat on this.
It comes out.
Lord.
It's really
Then you
good.
add in the creamy, as you explained, the creamy sherry,
Yeah.
which is, I mean,
It's opposed to a regular sherry, which is bold and
I
powerful.
mean-
the cream sherry is just softer.
you know what I walked out of here. I walked out with your bourbon
Yeah.
because I was impressed. But then when you let me taste that cast strength, I mean,
He's like, we're buying that.
I would have to say I'm a fan of wheated whiskey.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to start to pay attention to Woodford Reserve wheated
That's
whiskey.
because your wife is always right.
Your
Your wife likes when you.
What's new about that?
You like wheated bourbon. You like wheated bourbon. This is actually wheat.
Are you married?
We didn't get any nuts.
Happy wife,
Kids.
happy life, right?
We talked about that earlier.
I'm just teasing.
We always get in trouble. We're in trouble, but you know what? It's whiskey, right?
I want you to know that as podcasters at Scotchy Bourbon Boys, we do whatever the fuck we want, whenever we want to do it, as long as our wife says it's okay.
Yeah.
That's not exactly true. But usually, if it's not okay, she lets me know it.
You'll find out very quickly.
Oh, yeah. Life gets shitty real quick.
Yeah, for at least a year.
Yeah, my life has been shitty a couple times. So yeah, this is. I really believe this is something that's
Yeah, that one was, that was, believe it or not, that's the first double cask that I worked on. And we used to get our casks from a winery in Ohio. My winery down in Cincinnati, Paul's been a friend for years. He helped me figure that out back in the day, and then the volumes just got.
So you're actually, let me ask you this is my own ignorance. Probably most of the viewers and listeners know this. I don't because I'm a borderline idiot. This is actually.
He said it.
I don't care. You know, like in one of my favorite movies, Clint Eastwood says, "A man's got to know his limitations." I'm keenly aware of mine.
Oh,
That's an advantage. When
It
you
is.
have limitations, but you know what they are, it's
I
an
know mine.
advantage. Okay. So my question is when you're doing something like that, are you actually
So delicious.
recasting it, not just throwing some staves in it?
Oh, no. So we'll dump an entire batch. So just like when we blend one of these, when we're doing this, we'll pick and choose. There's certain levels and criteria for ratings on our barrels. And we sample every single barrel. Every single one gets nosed. We'll find the ones we want. We'll make a batch blend specifically for this year's collection. We have the cask someone on the boat. It hits here, they land. We literally top them off. We'll see you later. We let them sit. So they're completely done, completely blended, completely refilled, and then they sit for years.
Which is why I love.
How many
craft
years?
distilleries.
Two
It's
at
always
least
unique.
if we can.
Wow.
Yeah, most double casks are about 4 to 6 months. And we certainly have tried it at that, but it's amazing what happens. They'll get the turn when they start turning. Now sometimes they get too tannic.
Either you've cast some satanic spell on us,
No.
or this is just some absolute
No.
Jeff and I
Fantastic.
tasted this.
No. That's this Oloroso wheat whiskey double cask
And
cask
for
strength
our listeners
is
and viewers,
sex.
And for our listeners and viewers, this man,
No, it is. I mean,
full disclosure, this guy didn't pass an envelope of money under the table. He just gave us the wait, and he's not paying us for anything. This is just insanely good whiskey.
If I could drink this while,
wait,
if I could drink this while having sex,
That'd be interesting.
she's right there.
Do you mean having sex by yourself or with her?
No, with her.
Okay, just wanted to be sure.
Sex with myself is shit.
No, I'm here to tell you, all
what's
kidding
that moment when you
aside,
get
these are some.
This is it.
So far, I've tasted 2 out of 3 expressions here, and I'm completely blown away. This is just insanely good whiskey.
So I'm excited because I've not had the sherry cask bourbon.
Oh, really?
No, but I haven't even touched that. So let's hit that now.
Hey, Rudra.
Is it-
Hey, Rudra.
Is this it or no?
Can we have, do you have 4 more glasses? We ran out.
So let me ask you this, so when we were here the last time, we tasted the most amazing white dog that came off of your stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Are you doing white dog right now?
Yeah, we got to have a taste of the white dog.
So is that part of?
No, this is the wheat.
Yes.
With wheat bourbon, he's distilling this right now.
That delicious white dog make?
So the white dog that we had is the rye that we have then,
I'll pass
believe it
this
or
to
not,
Jeff.
we put it through another distillation.
Now, say for our listeners again, what are we
So-
sampling?
So this is the Michael Reserve that has been in a very specific Madeira sherry cask for about 2 years.
Yes,
So
the sherry
it's a
cask.
sherry finished bourbon.
So it takes it from how many years to how many years? 5 to 7 or 4
So,
to 7, 6?
4 to 6. Now these say 5, but they're also they'll be 6 this year. So that's actually
yeah.
6. And then this one's going to 7. So I'm slowly taking them up as much as my accounting would.
Yeah, exactly. This stuff is, I'm here to tell you, you can sell early buy options on your 10 to 15 year stuff. I'll be your marketing rep. Oh my God. This is so
Dr.
good.
Rudra. There we go. Got a salesman.
So good, so good. I mean, this
The
is
nose is
unbelievable.
very nice.
I'm finishing off the wheat.
So the challenge we got into with the sherry cask, and we're really happy with where it came out eventually, was it's very tannic. So the sherry, when we got it in, the casks are so, they're really wet, they were just dumped, that it is a competing product to the balance in the whiskey. So after 6 months, we tried it, and like, like it's going the wrong way, and we're just going to get time. We just have to get time. And then we just gave it more and more time.
That's batch 1.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
what's the proof on that?
This one in particular is 97.25 proof.
So like on all of this stuff, there's like 0.
So
Zero
the wheat,
ethanol.
Yes.
so the wheat tastes like toasted wheat and sherry.
Yeah,
and
you're getting
the
a
rye, the sherry takes away some of the rye.
And I gotta tell you,
but
what you got in the nose here?
Accentuate. But what I'm smelling, like you said, I smell caramel now.
Yeah.
Where I didn't get that with wheat, I was getting more.
But
wheat.
you're smelling the toasted caramel, and don't kick me, you're smelling Concord grapes. I mean, it's just unbelievable what you're smelling here.
Yeah, that's your sherry.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I'm here to tell you,
It's not overpowering.
no, it's not.
on the
It's
palate?
it's a
So
perfect accent.
So once on the palate, am I going to be from the nose to the palate? Am I different? Okay. Am I going to be disappointed though?
Oh my
Because the
God.
nose is so.
Rachel, roll that around.
So the nose has some bran, some of that sweet.
Yeah, it is. But roll that around on your tongue, you get nothing. It is as velvety smooth on the side palate
Dude.
as it is on
That's a high five.
tongue.
Let's just do a high
Oh
five.
my God.
Delicious.
No, he's not paying us to say this, folks.
No,
Oh my God.
no,
This is-
seriously, that's that.
This is stupid good.
This
Oh
is
my God.
why I love to come in to different because all the distilleries, they know what their good barrels are. They know it's so funny because the rip on the thing you guys as craft distillers have been trying to deal with for so is the people who initially did it.
This one, well, they're all good, but this one,
But
just insane.
at this point in 2022, the craft distillers understand your team. You understand your team. You understand what tastes good, what's marketable, and you could actually have a bad team and put out shit whiskey based off of the same distillate that you have here.
If
But
you're
as
not
long as you have the
selling
right people tasting, which they understand, that is, so you got the distillation process, the fermenting process, the yeast, you've got the aging process, you've got the distilling process, and then you've got the people picking what needs to go where.
Oh, yeah.
Now, my last question to you, because we're really getting close to finishing up this as far as the podcast, is what do you do with the barrels that don't meet the standard? Because I understand what you do with the barrels that are exceptional. I understand what you can do with the barrels that you put into the blend, but there's got to be barrels that are on the low end. What do you do with that? Are you able to put them into the mix, or do you basically sometimes say the barrel's shit and you just get rid of it?
Some of it is, and then the stuff that we know is not going the right way, it's never going to see the light of day. So what we actually do is we just let it age up. And what we have found that what you have to pay attention to is it will morph into something that's decent. It may take more time, but when we have ones or twos, our rating goes through a scale of 1 to 5, and when we're doing selection, and there's different categories in that as well. But if we've got what we consider like a 1, like, hey, it hits the age for what would be in a product, but it's just not balanced. It's not right. It's going to screw up the blend. And by the way, only a handful of barrels will screw up the blend like that.
Yeah.
So if they're not right, we hold them back and mark them, and then we know that they're a longer-term aging product. It may take another 6 months. It may take another 2 years. Will they age out? Will they mature correctly? We watch for that. Some of them were just damn bad off the still. We screwed up. Like, it wasn't the right blend, it wasn't the right grains, and those we have a few barrels of those sitting back that aren't correct. We're letting them go, and we're going to see what happens. And some of those, I can say right now, we have about 171 barrels, I believe, of a particular type that was a really crazy idea, and we tried it at like 4 years old, and it was like, oh, it's not right, let's let it go. Then we tried it at 5, we're like, oh, it's going the wrong way, and 6, it's like almost 10 years old right now. And we haven't tried it 3 years, but we're getting ready to. If it turned, you're going to see it in a special bottle here next year. Yeah. And I have a feeling of that.
And I have a question.
Yeah.
Would you ever ask for us to come down for our opinion on those barrels? Because I would.
If you want to fly over.
I would love to be able to taste that and just
really, that's not as quite as whacked out as you think. Number one, Jeff has a palate, unlike a lot of people. I'm more of a hand-to-mouth bourbon drinker. I represent the guy that's going to go to the liquor store on Friday afternoon or evening that wants to get something for the weekend.
Yep.
Rachel represents, Roxy represents, the classic woman who is a wine drinker, who wants to test the waters with bourbon. So, we represent, I think, a great cross-section of the society.
Yeah.
And I'm here to tell you that, and I want to state this for those of you who are listening, this is sherry cask finished bourbon aged 6 years.
going to 7.
I have not quite ever tasted any expression from any producer, any distiller that has the velvet taste. Now, I'm not talking about just the taste, but all the way back through the mid-to finish. Just an absolute velvet soft finish. You don't get this from anywhere. This is an exquisite, I would consider this a with or after dinner bourbon, or excuse me, Yeah, bourbon, I'm sorry. I think I mistakenly called the pumpernickel
Rye.
expression rye bourbon. It is a rye. On the side palate and finish, any of these, it's just exceptional. And this, with its velvet soft taste, you think of a velvet soft taste, you think of Johnny Walker Blue Label. It doesn't taste like this on your side palate and finish, let me tell you. This is insane. If you're not charging $200, $250 a bottle for this, you're leaving money on the table. This is insane.
We are leaving money on the table.
Both of these are insanely good bourbons.
Yeah.
I would buy this before Pappy any day, before at least, maybe not Pappy, Old Rip.
This is my thing right there. Yeah.
But Old Rip in any day of the week, this is just incredible.
And
product.
the Old Rosso has a little more of a punch. So
Yeah,
if you like
exactly.
a little more of a punch.
Exactly, and the wheat whiskey, this is a little more of a punch. This would be more of an appetizer for you, as well as this is just incredible. You got it covered. You got appetizer, you got main course, and you got dessert.
Yeah, but
it's just incredible.
This is my appetizer. She's my main course.
Oh my God!
All
right.
Thank you for stating that, Tiny. Like we didn't realize that.
You set it up.
I know. I didn't intend for that to work out that way, but it was just a byproduct. It was kind of like when he gets an accidental grain shipment from a farmer and it works out good.
No,
The line. This taste as it fills your mouth and the side palate, there is zero bitters. You get no tannins whatsoever. It is just a uniform taste from nose to finish. And in my uneducated, Visigothic way of tasting bourbon and rye, it is fantastic.
I've been like forcing. He's been podcasting with me recently, and so I've just been forcing bourbon, and I, just to watch his
He's been
palate
giving me flavor samples.
just start to refine.
It changes.
Yeah, it just keeps going and keep going. As you know,
But
it's
there's
like
a bottle of
when
this is coming home with me regardless, and possibly a bottle of this.
Yeah, but when you started, as you know, when you started, your palate's one way. It always, there's days it's better. There's days that it's not on. There's certain things, but overall, it just keeps evolving.
And I have to say,
sometimes you're picking up vanilla, sometimes you're picking up caramel.
And I'm not making a joke here, and I'm not trying to justify the fact that I had 2 Bloody Marys. But at any rate, what I'm saying is, I think the taste combinations in the Bloody Marys, in that what that did is it really wakes up, it sensitizes your taste buds.
Yeah. We were ready to go.
And we were primed and ready to go. Oh my God.
Yeah, the consensus is you will not be disappointed.
You will absolutely not be disappointed.
No,
You have a refined bourbon palate. Wait a minute, Jeff. You have a refined bourbon palate. You have someone who represents a woman bourbon drinker. And you have me who is just the weekend.
Every day.
Give me something that tastes good. And we all agree that you freaking crushed it.
Thanks. Well, the team crushed it.
No. And as far as what you're doing here, you're right on point. There's no doubt. And just so you know, when we were here the last time, that distillate that came off was.
And I want some of that.
Yeah, we'll do that afterwards.
So we've tasted a lot of white dog. I mean, every time we go on a distillery podcast somewhere, they want white dog.
Yeah, everywhere.
But like you say,
And
good
yours
in
was
equals
exceptional.
good out.
It really was.
Yeah, but that was unique.
It was very unique.
Unique.
Lots of flavor.
Yeah, lots of flavor.
And what was that exactly? You said it once.
That was the rye bourbon. That was
Yeah.
the high bourbon.
And one
Which had that
tasting
delicious
of this
apricot.
today, right?
Yes.
I so can't wait for that.
Like an apricot bomb.
Yeah. Comes through.
All right, everybody, it's time to finish up. We're going to finish up on the audio version.
Sure.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for listening.
For
Thank you
watching
so
on
much for
Facebook
downloading
Live.
and watching
Thank you
us.
for watching on YouTube, which will go a little bit longer. But we are the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. www.Scotchy Bourbon Boys. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter.
And if you joined us late, we're here with Ryan Lang of Middle West Spirits, and we've been tasting his absolutely over-the-top, fantastic expressions of bourbon, rye, and cask-finished bourbon.
We need your music.
I got it.
Take us out.
I got it.
The outro.
We're going to take us out.
Here we go.
Ready?
Rock and roll. Here it comes.
We hope to see you again very, very soon.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan.
Oh, show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. Oh, don't ask why. Show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. Oh, don't ask why. For if we don't find the next whiskey bar, I tell you we must die. I tell you we must die. I tell you, I tell you, I tell you we must die.
Drinking bourbon, sipping on some scotch. We get a little wild, but it's sure fun to watch. We love what we do, we're drinking every brew. Man, we talk some shit, but we're telling the truth. Yeah, we're the Scotchy Bourbon Boys, raising some hell and making some noise. Yeah, we're the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. We're here to have fun and we hope you enjoy. We're here to have fun, yeah.
Oh, show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. Oh, don't ask why. Show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. Oh, don't ask why. For if we don't find the next whiskey bar, I tell you we must die. I tell you we must die. I tell you, I tell you, I tell you we must die.
Dant Crossing, Gethsemane, Kentucky. Timeless hospitality that stirs the spirit. Dant Crossing is a one-of-a-kind destination for unforgettable weddings, memorable corporate events, day trips, and weekend getaways. The pastoral campus is anchored by Logstill Distillery and includes an amphitheater that seats 2,000, a 12-acre lake for fishing, and unique lodging options, creating an immersive experience that's rooted in the community and culture of our little slice of Kentucky. More attractions will open soon at Dant Crossing, including our 21,000 square foot distillery, which we will have the ability to produce 15,000 barrels of spirit each year, a network of wooded walking trails, fully functional private train depot, farm-to-table restaurant, and the Legacy, a premier wedding and events venue. Whether you're looking to host an event, book a stay, or reserve a tasting, we're ready to welcome you. Learn more at dantcrossing.com.